It was a chilly autumn morning when the quiet streets of Maplewood were shattered by flashing red and blue lights. The scent of rain lingered in the air, and the hum of distant traffic was interrupted by sharp, authoritative voices. A black sedan had been pulled over near the curb, and within minutes, what began as a simple misunderstanding spiraled into a scene that would change several lives forever. Inside the car sat a woman in her early 30s. She had calm eyes, a composed face, and an aura of dignity that didn't fit the scene unfolding around her. Her name was Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a respected neurosurgeon at one of the city's top hospitals. She had just finished a 14-hour shift performing a life-saving surgery on a young boy and was on her way home to see her husband and daughter. But exhaustion and a broken taillight would soon turn her life upside down. As she slowed her car near an intersection, two police cruisers suddenly boxed her in. She froze, unsure what was happening. Within seconds, two officers approached, hands hovering over their holsters. "Ma'am, step out of the vehicle," Officer Grant barked. His tone carried no warmth, no patience, just suspicion. Sarah blinked in confusion. "Is there a problem, officer?" she asked softly, clutching her hospital ID that hung from her neck. "Step out. Now," the other officer, Davis, repeated sharply. The way they looked at her made her heart race. She tried to explain, "I'm a doctor, I just came from the hospital. Can you please tell me what's going on?" But they didn't want to hear it. A 911 call earlier that morning had reported a stolen vehicle matching the make and color of hers. Without verifying the license plate or asking basic questions, the officers had decided she fit the description. When she hesitated to exit, confused and scared, Officer Grant pulled open the door. The cold metal of handcuffs snapped around her wrists before she could process what was happening. The cuffs bit into her skin as they pushed her toward the police cruiser. "Wait, please, this is a mistake," Sarah pleaded, panic rising in her throat. "Check my ID. I'm Drive Sarah Mitchell. This is my car." But her words fell on deaf ears. Pedestrians had started to gather, whispering and recording the scene with their phones. To them, it looked like another criminal caught. A woman in scrubs, hair messy, eyes tired, not realizing she had just saved a life hours ago. As the car door slammed shut behind her, Sarah felt her chest tighten. Years of discipline and professionalism couldn't stop the sting of humiliation. Her mind went to her husband, Daniel, a man who always told her to stay calm, that truth always comes out. But right now, truth felt powerless. At the station, the officers booked her without listening to a single explanation. They confiscated her phone, her ID, even her hospital badge. Hours passed. She sat on a cold bench, wrists red from the cuffs, watching officers laugh and chat while her life stood still. Finally, when her phone was returned so she could make one call, Sarah took a shaky breath and dialed her husband. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Daniel, I've been arrested. They think I stole my own car." There was a long pause. Then, in a tone that sent chills down her spine, Daniel replied, "What station are you at?" She told him. "Don't say another word. I'm coming," he said, and hung up. What the officers didn't know, and what they were about to regret deeply, was who Daniel Mitchell really was. Within 30 minutes, a line of black SUVs rolled up to the station. Men in suits and earpieces stepped out, scanning the area with sharp eyes. At the center of them was Daniel, his presence commanding silence as soon as he entered the lobby. The desk. Sergeant looked up, startled. "Sir, you can't just." Daniel interrupted him coldly, flashing his identification. "Special Agent Daniel Mitchell, Department of Justice." The color drained from the sergeant's face. The two arresting officers, Grant and Davis, froze in their chairs as they realized who they had just handcuffed. Not just a respected doctor, but the wife of a senior federal agent. Daniel didn't raise his voice, but every word carried authority. "Where is my wife?" They led him to the holding room. The moment he saw Sarah, still in handcuffs, still trembling, something inside him snapped. He turned to the officers. "You arrested her without reading her rights. You ignored her identification. You failed to verify the vehicle registration. Do you understand the severity of your actions?" The officers tried to stammer excuses. "We had a report of a stolen vehicle." She matched the description, but Daniel cut them off. "And you didn't bother to confirm the license plate. You humiliated an innocent woman, a doctor, because she looked suspicious after working an overnight shift." He pulled out his phone and made a single call. Within minutes, the station chief was on the line, sweating, apologizing profusely. Internal Affairs was notified. By the end of the day, Officers Grant and Davis were placed on administrative leave pending investigation. When Sarah finally walked out of the station, free and trembling, Daniel wrapped his arms around her. She didn't cry, not in front of them. But as they drove home, the tears came quietly, years of strength dissolving into his shoulder. "All I did was drive home," she whispered. "I didn't deserve that." He kissed her forehead. "No, you didn't. And they'll pay for it." The story went viral within hours. The video of the arrest, filmed by a bystander, spread across social media, showing a tired doctor being handcuffed without reason. The public outrage was swift and merciless. News stations picked it up. Hospital staff, patients, and even government officials spoke out in support of Dr. Mitchell. In the following weeks, both officers were fired for misconduct. The department issued a public apology, and Sarah received a personal visit from the chief of police, who admitted, "We failed you, Drive Mitchell." But Sarah's response wasn't angry. She stood at a press conference, her voice steady but emotional. "I don't want revenge. I want change. What happened to me happens to others every day, people without privilege, people who can't make a phone call that saves them. This isn't just my story, it's a reminder that justice must never depend on who you know." The crowd fell silent. Even the reporters looked moved. Months later, Sarah continued her work at the hospital, saving lives with the same dedication as before. But something had changed in her. She had seen both the cruelty and the redemption of humanity up close. She began volunteering for a foundation that trained law enforcement officers in bias awareness and crisis communication. And though the scars on her wrists eventually faded, the lesson never did.